Dzień dobry. Thank you very much indeed. It is a challenge to speak after Ilya Ponomaryov, and I truly hope that we'll be able to listen to the next second part of his statement. It is extremely interesting and extremely important. I would like to join him in expressing my regret not being able to participate physically in the forum. In Warsaw, I was able to be there in person, and it was extremely interesting. This time, I have to divide my work between a variety of responsibilities. Well, I also think there is certain pessimism in statements, but honestly speaking, in my quite long political life already, I would be able to see things that were difficult to foresee and also even to believe. And therefore, I think that we live in really challenging, difficult, but still interesting time. And as it used to be Polish tradition, in such difficult times, there is always hope for those who are part of prison, because we used to call Soviet Union empire of evil and a prison of nations. And that is true. We also see a continuation of this policy in the Russian Federation, in particular under Putin rule, but actually it was always visible and felt by many nations and indigenous people living still there. The imperial policy of Russia and then Soviet Union and now Russian Federation was tradition for ages, and expanding territories was always this ambition. Nowadays, we see this surely since 2014 with illegal annexation of Crimea, then vis-à-vis Crimean Tatars and other people living there in peninsula and in eastern part of Ukraine earlier. But now also full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Ukraine is extremely good example because we can see methods and ways of Russian policies, activity in trying to subjugate a sovereign and independent nation. Earlier, we've seen it within the borders of Russian Federation, and those of us who used to monitor this are well aware about atrocities applied by Russian regime in Chechnya during two Chechen wars, but also vis-a-vis other nations and indigenous people. Actually, atrocities happening here now in Ukraine are repetition and sometimes even less than repetition that happened. What happened in Grozny and around. I think we are able today to listen this afternoon, to listen to Chechen statements. That is extremely important. Knowing policies applied by Russian Federation in Crimea vis-a-vis Crimean Tatars is of utmost importance for whole international community, collective West, to really wake up and learn that this time, not in future, not after ceasefire, because just ceasefire means the possibility for Russian Federation to strengthen their military position, standing, and then strike once more, because policy of Russian Federation is clear and extremely consequent, I would say. For many of us, it was visible for decades, well written in Russia's strategic documents, actually aims of current invasion and campaign were quite well provided in Russian attempt to blackmail the West in December of previous year with requirements not only addressed to Ukraine, but also to NATO countries, in particular countries of our region, Central and Eastern Europe, questioning developments that happened in 1997 and then 1998 with NATO accession of many states and consecutive broadening of NATO. I participate in the international group called jointly by President Zelensky's Chancellery and former NATO Secretary General Anders Fogh Rasmussen, and working on future guarantees to Ukraine. But actually, to all of us, to change also this pessimistic mood that is still creeping among a variety of nations, is to allow, to mobilize within the West to assist Ukraine winning this war with massive sanctions, embracing all levels, all economic sectors. I know it may be difficult for some of you to listen to this, but remember, I have my own experience. I was part of Poland's opposition during martial law time. My first job was with International Affairs Department of Polish Solidarność in the first time of its founding. So later on, of course, as well, but in particular under communist rule. And we, opposing communism and Russian and Soviet influence in this former Soviet bloc, were accepting heavy sanctions, knowing that it was the only possibility. So solidarity of the West, and then our surviving very heavy sanctions in order to get rid of communist regime, and then indirect Soviet influence. So that is part of my experience, not to be compared with living within the Soviet Union, or now during the war under really heavy repressions within the Russian Federation. But remember that in Ukraine, there are enormous atrocities. We have to stop it, and not by dirty deal pushing Ukraine to eventually give concessions or
несокрушимое дело нашего единого многонационального народа. Сегодня
well, I can call myself a veteran as well, so please, and I know about cyber security issues. That's obvious. It can be interventions, but hopefully we are able to speak up on this. We have to stay united with Ukraine. I'm absolutely sure that with our assistance to Ukraine and jointly with whole collective West winning this war, there is totally different perspective, not only for sovereignty, territorial integrity of Ukraine, of countries endangered by Russian imperialism, but also for those who are those nations and people that are part of prison within Soviet Union. Also to those and hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians already deported once more to Russian Federation, to very difficult territories to live for them. That includes unaccompanied children. So we have to think about them. Difficult to tell you to keep this positive attitude, because I'm absolutely sure that current state arrangement of Russian Federation with our ability to unite is to collapse, and then it will be time for aspirations of a variety of nations. Thank you.
Thank you very much.